Bill Belichick releasing a book. There have been some advanced copies out there, and some people have gotten a look at it. And, Dan Shaughnessy apparently is one of them. He says, imagine 289 pages of Bill telling us about the secret sauce of 24 seasons at the helm in Foxborough. I couldn't wait to read what he really thinks of Bob Kraft and how he'd explain Malcolm Butler not playing in that Super Bowl against the Eagles in Minneapolis. But sorry, he says, it's not in there. As an author of many books, writes Dan, I'd estimate this one's about 80,000 words. 2 words not in the book. Robert Kraft. I'll stop there. Thoughts?
Stunning. I mean, really, again, stunning and a deliberate slight, because he's not even mentioned in the acknowledgments, which I'd like to think he'd be mentioned at a minimum there for having hired the guy when he was, I don't want to say coaching Siberia. That's a little bit too strong. But a lot of people didn't think or weren't sure when Bill would get his next chance, if he would get it at all. I just think it's classic petty Belichick. I'm totally 100% with Kraft on this one.
I'm not surprised. I mean, it's clear that relationship is icy, so I didn't find it all that shocking to hear that Robert Kraft wasn't mentioned in this book.
Bill's exhaustive, so he has in this book 80,000 words, an acknowledgement section at the end. He features a nice shout out to wingman Bears Nigerian, plus thank you to my idea mill and creative muse, Jordan Hudson.
She's my muse.
But no mention of Robert K. Kraft. There are 363 people thanked, including Malcolm Butler. Incredibly, Butler's name is not mentioned, though, in the chapter devoted to mistakes. So you get nothing on Malcolm Butler and why he was benched, although Bill thanks him in the acknowledgments. Does not mention Robert Kraft anywhere in the book. So I remember when they did the phony baloney press conference when they let Bill go, and we ranted about it, and we got calls and said, why would you care? It was a nice day. And to which I said to you people, because it was bull crap. Part of our job is to call out bull crap. Or that's what I want our job to be. That's what we do on the show, and I like doing on the show. It wasn't real. It was fake. It was bull crap. They were feeding you bull crap. And so that's why I thought the press conference was a complete joke, and I told you so. Well, why are you ruining a nice moment? Because it wasn't real. So, you see? I mean, it wasn't real.
No, definitely not real.
Okay. However, Belichick does admit to mistakes. Now I'm reading from a summary. I don't know where I cut this from, but anyway, Belichick does admit to mistakes, including not drafting quarterback Lamar Jackson in 2018. Belichick also attributes letting Tom Brady leave in free agency to financial considerations, which sharply conflicts with the notion that after 20 years, I just took off my glasses, after 20 years, Brady had simply had enough of Belichick. Thoughts?
So Bill wants to make it about the money now, which puts it at Kraft's feet?
Yeah, this is putting it on ownership, and he's full of it, and he can't admit that he was a big part of the problem here.
Right. When the fact of the matter is that, the money was part of it. Bill was also in charge of the money, by the way, if we're to believe the way the thing was, being run for many years. And Bill doesn't want it, he thinks it's bull crap that Brady is, all this stuff about the friction between them, and he chased Brady out of town. No, Tom wanted the money.
He's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the thing that you're saying, that's subtly putting it at Kraft's feet, I think is what he's trying to do there. But let's keep it real. The money was there. So were all the other problems. Okay? Both things are true. But in the retelling of it, I just want everyone to keep it real. Brady, listen to me, absolutely felt disrespected, and he was. Did not like the way that he was being treated. Was growing sick of, the heavy hand of Bill Belichick, had sort of changed his worldview after meeting Gisele Bündchen and marrying her about how stars should be treated, and she got into his ear, and he started to, be a little more diva-ish, I think, okay? He absolutely resented how they treated his trainer, Alex Guerrero. All those things are absolutely true, and yet, through all of that, he still asked the team for 2 years at $25 million per. 2 years, $50 million. So if it was so bad, why was he still asking for a contract? If they had offered him 2 at 50, you know what he would have done? What he's always done. He would have gritted his teeth, swallowed it, and signed the contract, and he still would have been here. So, don't leave out the money. If Brady was so miserable and wanted so out, he wouldn't even have asked for contracts. He asked for contracts up until the end. So when Bill says financial considerations, at least that's close to the truth. I want them to keep it real. I want both sides to keep it real. And I don't want to hear from Brady's side that it was all just the time had run its course. Then why'd you keep asking for 2 at 50? You know you did, and you know you would have signed if they put that in front of you. So don't leave that out. Subsequently, I don't want to hear from Belichick that it was financial considerations. You could have easily signed him for that. And Robert Kraft, this is one I will not blame Robert Kraft for. Robert Kraft would have let Bill Belichick re-sign Tom Brady. What are you, stupid? And now, I don't know if Robert would have let him go over budget. That's a different story. But so if Bill had given him the 25, that 25 would have come out of somewhere else. You better believe it. They would have lost an edge rusher or a receiver or a tackle, or someone would have been out the door. The budget's the budget, but Bill could spend whatever he wants inside of that budget, especially to keep Tom Brady. No. Belichick was done with Brady. He wanted to win without Tom Brady. And so he lowballed him on the contract. It became financial considerations because Bill lowballed him on the deal. Bill told Robert he's not going to be worth the money, and Robert went along with it. And that's what happened. Keep it real. The money was in there. It was a part of it. The contract was the leverage that Bill used to get rid of Brady. Oh, we can't sign him, Robert. He's not going to be worth the money. It's exactly what he told Robert. And Robert agreed, or Robert went along with it. And in some respect, why wouldn't he, Mazz? Bill told Robert, don't re-sign Darrelle Revis. He's not worth the money. And we don't need to keep Richard Seymour. He's not going to be worth the money. And he was right at the time. Seymour went to Oakland and wasn't much of a factor. So Bill had done it over and over and over again. You don't need to pay Lawyer Malloy. He's not going to be worth it. You don't need to pay this guy that money. He's not going to be worth it. You don't have to pay Adam Vinatieri. We'll win without. And he was right all the way along. He was right because he had Brady, and Brady kept bailing him out. But after all those years of telling Robert he's not worth the money and he's not worth the money, he's not worth the money, Robert said, well, all these other guys weren't worth the money. So Bill's telling me Brady's not worth the money? Fine, you can do it. But the money was in there. So I don't totally resent Bill saying financial considerations. I don't know if Bill would present it the way I just did, but that's why money was a factor. Okay, I'm done.
No, I mean, I think that is largely true. I also think Bill doesn't want it out there that he's the one that drove Tom Brady out of New England.
Make no mistake, he is.
So he'll blame Brady, or at least, put it on Brady, and he'll put it on Kraft, but he won't wear it himself.
And that's why that Lamar Jackson detail's related. Bill thinks the mistake was not letting Brady go. It was not reloading after they traded Garoppolo. And that was the mistake. It was. I mean, obviously, Brady had more to give, and they should have kept him in hindsight. But the real mistake is not having the next guy ready to go. That's the right thing to do. They were right with Garoppolo. That was the right thing to do. Brady outlived it. They should have done it immediately. They traded Garoppolo in October of 2017, right? And the Sony Michel, Isaiah Wynn draft, the Lamar Jackson draft was 2018. Right. There he was. And McDaniels wanted him, right, Jimmy?
Yes.
Don't we believe that?
100% believe that.
So there it was. There was your reload. You could have reloaded with Lamar Jackson. You would have had to sit him, obviously, for a couple of years. But there you go. That's a mistake. Bill's right. I'm glad he admits it. That's the mistake. The Brady thing, I mean, some of you predicted it. You were right. But I still don't go back and totally kill them for moving on from a 39-year-old quarterback. He was 39. Who keeps going? Well, it turns out Brady did. But the real second guess is you had nothing when you pushed him out the door and then just slapped it together year after year. That's the mistake. I said I was done. Now I'm officially done. Anything to follow with?
Nope.
I know I ain't reading this piece of crap book.
No, I'll let someone else do it.
I'll just go with the excerpts.
And just give me the excerpts, and then we'll hammer the excerpts.
Also, isn't the title The Art of Winning?
Yeah.
Please.
So again, it's more of an instructional thing on what to do and what not to do. I don't view it as his memoir.
By the way,
his memoir I'll read.
You're also never getting the answer on Malcolm Butler while people are living. We sat with Malcolm Butler at the Super Bowl. It's obvious they're sitting on something. It was obvious sitting next to the kid and looking him in the eye and seeing how he handled those questions.
Yeah, why does he get thanked at the end there in this new book, but he doesn't get mentioned in the mistakes? Because Malcolm Butler, signed the NDA.
Hush money.
Right.
So you're not getting the answer as long as these guys are alive. Or maybe you'll get a deathbed confession, but you're not getting that anytime soon.
I want the real book, The Art of Cheating.
Yeah, right, exactly. I'll give you that one.
It's called The Wells Report.
Yeah.